Hi there. This is part three out of three. Sacristan part three, the Cursillo weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Saturday, we will have morning prayer. You will set up the lectern with the readings. The psalm goes on top, and then there will be just one reading and a gospel reading. You should get the readings from the head spiritual advisor and the lay rector prior to the weekend so that you have them. You will use the Old Testament or the New Testament reading. The gospel reading can be read by a lay person as there is no Eucharist at this service. If you ever want to know what the daily lectionary is, you can just type in Episcopal lectionary on a Google search and it will come up. I have mine saved right now for year C 2025. Saturday will also have the Healing Eucharist, and the Healing Eucharist is before lunch. So a lot goes on Saturday morning. After breakfast, set up for the Healing Eucharist. Set up the stack, the cruet, the lavabo bowl and towel, and the holy oil on the credence table. Remember, the stack is the chalice, the purificator, the paten, the priest host, and a corporal. Sometime before the weekend, speak with the essays to see if they are bringing their own holy oil. I do not remember seeing any in the closet at Mariondale. Most priests will have their own holy oil stock or ring. That makes it easier if you remind them to bring it. If one essay is bringing a bottle of holy oil to share with the others and none of them are bringing a stock or a holy oil ring, you can use 3 small candle holders with a cotton ball for each station. You place a cotton ball in the small candle holder and pour some holy oil onto each cotton ball, and then just leave those on the credence table. There should be some flat candle holders in the closet opposite the right lectionary. Look for the small flat single candle holders. You are also going to want to place a container of lemon-scented wet wipes on the credence table. The essays will need to wipe the oil off of their hands. Place the readings on the lectern. The first reading, the psalm, and the second reading in that order. In the gospel book, see if you can find the gospel reading or place a printed copy into the gospel book. Place the gospel book to the right of the left altar candle. Put the missal stand and the altar book on the altar. When it's time for the service, you are responsible for lighting the altar candles, epistle side first. The healing and anointing will be after the sermon. Some essays prefer to have a chair for the people they will anoint. You will have to play that part by ear. There will be 3 stations. Someone will announce where the 3 stations are at this time. If one of the essays or more than one of the essays wants a chair, you will just have someone help you put the chairs there. Make sure after the healing Eucharist that you extinguish the candles, gospel side first, and clear the altar and credence table. Just bring everything back to the sacristy and leave it there. You will have to wash the linens and vessels after you eat lunch. You won't have time before then. After lunch, after everything is cleaned up, set up for the Cursillo rehearsal. Bring the torch stand to the bottom step against that big black, green, and gold wall, the reredos. If you look at the top picture, there's a picture with one of the torch stands. You will put one of those on the right side bottom step, one on the left side bottom step. So one torch will be to the left of the credence table, the other will be on the opposite side. Put candles into both torches. The candles will be in the right sacristy. There should be some on top. The thing is that both candles should be the same height. Move the processional cross stand from the middle of the altar to the left slanted wall where the sacristan sits. In the bottom photo, that's the right wall with the slant on it. It's the one with the tabernacle and the veil with the reserved host. Place the banner stand at the center of the altar where the cross stand was. The banner will go there during Cursillo. There should be two banner stands with the material. One will stay in the royal room and one you can put in the sacristy until it is needed. Have the SA put the reserved host into the monstrance. So right now the reserved host is under that little veil under the tabernacle. Once the SA puts the reserved host into the monstrance, leave it by the piscina in the left sacristy. This is all done during the rehearsal or after the rehearsal. If you look at this photo with Todd and Jane, it says cross goes behind Todd. That is the left slanted wall right there. This is what the altar looks like on Sunday during Cursillo, but we're not up to Sunday. I'm just showing you where you're going to put the two torches. One on the right, one on the left, where the arrows are pointing down. The Cursillo banner will be behind the altar and behind the priest chairs during Cursillo. So right at the bottom there, you can see that there is a banner stand currently there in this picture. After dinner, check the chapel. You do not have to move the torches. They can stay on those stands where they were for rehearsal. Move the cross stand back to the altar. The banner stand can stay behind the SA chairs, slightly to the side, so that the cross is centered. There will be Compline. After the skits, the lay rector will direct everyone to go to the chapel for Compline. The agape party and the visitation will be set up by the fourth day. The fourth day will also clean up the visitation and the agape party. For the most part, you will only have to put the monstrance back in the closet. If the host is still in the monstrance, it will need to be consumed. Usually the head SA will consume it, but anyone really can. During the visitation, the altar will be entirely covered in aluminum foil. When you go back, after everyone is left, after all the candidates have gone to bed, when you go back to clean up, make sure the altar covering is centered on the altar and make sure the four corners are fixed to look like this. The microphone might be on the floor in that white V on that little piece, that will have to be placed back up on the altar. The altar will either have the long fair linen as shown here or the short embroidered one as shown in a previous photo. At the Saturday night team meeting, find out if the carnations are being given out on the second floor or if they're going to be given out at morning prayer. If you are singing at the bedroom doors in the morning, bring the vase of carnations up to the third floor. You will keep them up there until the morning. If they are being given out at morning prayer, place the vase in the back corner of the chapel so they will not be seen. So as you walk into the chapel and you look left, there's usually a table all the way in the corner and it's dark in that section. Just leave the vase with the carnations there, and at the end of morning prayer, the lay rector will send the team back to get them. Sunday morning. Sunday morning we'll start with morning prayer. Set out the psalm and 2 readings on the lectern. No gospel. After breakfast, start setting up for Clausura. This is a full Mass with the blessing of the Cursillo crosses and the baptismal vows. Place the readings in order on the lectern. It will be the first reading, the psalm, the second reading. The credence table is going to have extra items. You will use our chalice and the one in the wooden box on the table in the left sacristy. The top photo here is the actual box, chalice, and paten that Mariondale has in the left sacristy. You will fill the ciborium that you've used all weekend with 100 hosts. Count them out. It helps the essays know if they need more. Fill a second ciborium with 50 extra hosts. Fill both the water and the wine cruets almost all the way up. Don't fill into the neck of them, but fill them close to the top. You should find a flagon in the upper right cabinet on the right sacristy. If you don't see the flagon, there's usually a small pitcher or something similar that can be used. You will put some wine in it. Doesn't need a lot, but enough to cover between the cruet and that to cover about 100 to 125 people. Setting up for Clausura. You will use our chalice as the main chalice. Set up our chalice as above. So it will be the chalice, the purificator, the paten, the priest host, the pall. After the pall, you will put the veil on. The corporal is going to go inside of the verse. When you set this up on the center of the altar, the back 1/3 of the veil gets folded up. The burse will go on top of the veil. The opening for the burse should face the priest. The image to the top, the image to the right shows the top veil stack prior to the burse going on top. This was from the Easter service at my church. You will place the rainbow dressed chalice on the center of the altar. On the credence table, you will place a lavabo towel, a lavabo bowl, and two lavabo towels. Two bread boxes. The one in front is the full one, and one behind it has less host. You will place the two cruets filled almost to the top. Behind the cruets will be the flagon or pitcher of extra wine. The extra chalice, which is the one shown in the picture below, will have a purificator, a paten, and a pall. This will be the second chalice used, and the paten will be used for extra hosts if it's needed. The priest host goes on the paten of the main chalice only. Locate the Gospel or place a printed copy of the Gospel in the Gospel book. The Gospel book stands next to the left altar candle. Set up the missal stand and altar book. If you look carefully to the right of the altar book and missal stand, you will see there is a small crystal bucket with a piece of brass, like a brass stick in it. That small crystal bucket holds the holy water, and inside the bucket is the aspergillium. Fill that halfway with water and ask an essay to bless the water. You can either have it blessed before the service, or you can tell the essays that it has unblessed water and they can bless it at the beginning of the Cursillo service. But you need to let the essay know if the water is blessed or not. If you look carefully in front of the rainbow boursen veil, there's a corporal covering the crosses that will be blessed during the service. The crosses are with the materials in the Palanca room. Carefully count out enough Cursillo crosses for each candidate. Double check the count. You also need one lay rector cross. Use one of the rods from the banners, preferably the one with the knobs on each side. Carefully place the Cursillo crosses on the rod, making sure that none of them is tangled. You can space them out evenly as long as they fit under the corporal. Hang them over the front of the altar and then place a large corporal over them. Make sure the torch bases are on the bottom step where they were during rehearsal. Hopefully they will still be there. Move the stand for the processional cross to the left wall. Make sure the stand for the Cursillo banner is centered to the back wall of the altar. Take the candles and the processional cross to the Palanca room. Maybe you can get the two torch bearers to grab the candles. You're only taking the top part of the torches, not the holder. Bring the rainbow chasubles to the Palanca room. You should be able to hang them on the edge of the built-in shelf that's on the wall. Prior to the weekend, please tell everyone involved with serving for Cursillo to bring a white alb and a cincture. Hopefully you remembered yours. The sacristan alb can be brought back to his or her room after the way of the cross. You only need it for the Way of the Cross and for Cursillo. By midday Sunday, all of the albs and the rainbow vestments should be in the Palanca room. If you look to the right, there's a photo with Mother Anna Heave, Father Matt, Father Bill. I'm drawing a blank on that wonderful woman on the left. And then there's me in my Alban cincture. Please have participants borrow vestments from their home churches. The last time I checked the closet in the left sacristy, there was only one alb, and it has seen better days. There are no extra cinctures at Mariondale. Each participant must bring an alb and a cincture. On Sunday, the last royal is number 15, Ultrea. After the Ultrea royal, the candidates will have forms to fill out. While that is going on, the essays, the torchbearer, the banner holder, and you will go to the Palanca room to get vested. There will be a group photo, and then you will line up. While you are all vested, most times people stay out of sight from the candidates. The crucifer, which will be you, will go back to see if it's time for anyone who's vested to be able to go back into the royal room. The lay rector and the essays will decide if you are lining up inside or outside. As the crucifer, you will lead the procession. So it's going to be too hard for you to light the altar candles and lead the procession at the same time. So ask the head cha-cha to light the altar candles, or see if you can get one of the ushers to light the altar candles just before we walk in. Both the crucifer and the banner holder will have to be careful going up the outside steps into the chapel. As you enter the chapel, the ceiling is low. Once you pass under the overhang, raise the processional cross high. When you get to the altar, bear left and place the processional cross into the stand. Wait for the others to go into the first pew. The banner goes up the 4 steps and gets placed behind the essay's chairs into the banner stand. The 2 torches, one will go left, one will go right, trying to stay even, and they will place the torches on the torch stands. Everyone sits to the left, 1 row behind the lay rector. The sacristan sits on the end nearest the sacristy. Keep an eye on the essays as they may need something or need you to do something. During the gradual hymn, only the crucifer and the torches will process down the center aisle. You will practice this during the rehearsal. At the end, usually after the piece, make sure to extinguish the altar candles. After the Clusaurus service, clean up and store all supplies back to where each belongs. Mariondale's elements must be washed, dried, and put away, in particular their chalice and their paten. If you used any of their cruets or pitchers or flagons, they all get washed and put away. The used linens go on the back of the piscina sink. Mariondale will clean them. The rainbow chasubles, stoles, gospel book, altar book, palls, all go back into the large garment bag. You will need help closing this as it will be tight. Our chalice, paten, holy water bucket, aspergillium, etc. go back into the large black box. The 2 torches will go back behind the reredos. The processional cross goes back to the center of the altar. The banner and the banner stand go to the royal room. The banner goes into the crate with the other banners. Hopefully the other cha-chas will help. There will be a lot of cleanup. Table leaders can help with the cleanup. Everyone should help with cleanup. And then it's Altreya. The next time we meet will be at Altreya. Thank you for taking on this very, very important ministry as sacristan, and I really do hope these videos were helpful to you.